The town had bread. That was the first thing Sable noticed, and the thing that unsettled her most. Bread meant wheat. Wheat meant farming. Farming meant organization. Organization meant time. And time was the one resource nobody had managed to hold on to after the fold. She stood at the edge of Maren's cross with her pack on her back and watched a woman carry a loaf across the square as casually as if the world hadn't ended 11 years ago. She told herself, keep moving. She always told herself that. She didn't keep moving. The town was small, maybe 200 people, nestled in what used to be a valley in what used to be rural Pennsylvania. The buildings were patched but standing. There were children. There were dogs. Someone had planted flowers along the main road, not for food, purely for the look of them, which struck Sable as either deeply human or deeply suspicious, and she wasn't sure anymore which of those was worse. A man named Holt gave her a room above the feed store. He had the calm, unhurried manner of someone who had never needed to run from anything, which was statistically improbable for anyone still alive. He asked where she'd come from. She said east. He nodded like that was a complete answer. "You'll want to eat," he said. "Supper's communal. Everyone comes." "Everyone?" she said. "Everyone," he said pleasantly. Supper was in the square. Long tables, mismatched chairs, oil lamps strung between posts. The food was real. Stew with actual vegetables. The bread she'd seen earlier. Something that approximated butter. People laughed. A child fell off a bench and cried briefly and was scooped up and consoled. A teenage boy played something slow and tuneless on a guitar in the corner, and nobody told him to stop. Sable ate and watched and counted things that were wrong. The laughter came a half-beat late, like an audience following a cue. When she made eye contact with people, they smiled immediately. Too immediately, with too much warmth. The way people smile at someone they've already decided to trust before the introduction. When she asked a woman across the table where she'd been before Maren's cross, the woman said here, as if she hadn't understood the question. When she asked again, the woman smiled and passed the bread. That night, Sable sat on the edge of her cot and went through her pack by lamplight. Rations, a water filter, a hand-drawn map that was useless past the Delaware marker, a field kit from before the fold with her name stenciled on the side in black. Unit 7, Sable. She'd been carrying it so long she'd stopped reading it. She read it now. Unit. She put it down slowly. In the morning, she found Holt at the well and asked him directly, had anyone else passed through recently? A man, maybe, or a woman, moving west? He thought about it with the performance of thinking. Not that I recall. What about 6 months ago? A year? People come through, he said. People move on. Do they? She said. Or do they stay? He looked at her then, really looked, and for just a moment something shifted behind his eyes. Not malice, not fear. Something more like the careful attention of a system running a check. You should stay, he said. It's safe here. She left within the hour. She moved fast, west through the tree line, not looking back until the town was out of sight. Her chest was tight. Her mind was doing the thing it did when the pieces were assembling themselves, whether she wanted them to or not. The bread, the flowers, the laughter on a half-beat delay. A woman who had always been here. 200 people with no history, no scars, no stories that went anywhere. A field kit that said unit. She stopped walking. The kit had a secondary panel she'd never opened, a small latch on the underside, corroded shut. She worked it open with her knife. Inside, a folded document, laminated, official, the logo of a pre-fold government program she didn't recognize. She read it once, then again. Project Maren, Behavioral Reintegration Study. Simulated environment nodes deployed across collapse zones. Purpose: to assess survivors' psychological resilience under controlled social conditions. Units embedded for longitudinal observation. Units are not briefed on their designation prior to activation to ensure authentic response data. Unit 7. Designation: Sable. Role: Subject. She stood in the trees for a long time. Then she looked back in the direction of the town she couldn't see anymore. The town with the bread and the flowers and the people who smiled too fast. She thought about Holt's eyes, the system running its check. She thought about every town before this one, every room above a feed store, every communal supper. Every time she'd told herself keep moving and hadn't asked why she always ended up somewhere new, somewhere small, somewhere with people who seemed to be waiting for her specifically. The document had a final line, small print at the bottom. Note: Unit 7 has reached terminal loop. This is observation cycle 14. The trees were very quiet. Sable folded the document carefully, put it back in the kit, and latched the panel shut. Then she turned west and walked on.